shaken up the NBA. 10 days before the deadline, and Anthony Davis has requested a trade from the Pelicans. Keep in mind, the team is under no obligation to make a move now, as Davis isn't a free agent until 2020. But according to reports, both the Lakers and the Knicks are preparing offers for the star big man, and clearly whoever lands him will obviously look to lock him up long term. Nick, which team do you think would be a better situation for Anthony Davis, the Knicks or the Lakers?
I think, well, to me, the obvious answer is the Lakers as presently constituted, because they've got LeBron. They've got, they will be able to attract free agents. Now, the Knicks, that math could change. Let's see if the Pelicans wait till the summer. Guess what happens before the summer? A couple things. One is that draft lottery happens. The Knicks are going to have a 16% chance of getting Zion Williamson. 16% chance, new draft odds this year. Worst 4 records all get the same, or worst 3 records all get the same odds. Knicks going to be one of those worst records. And so a 16% chance of the #1 overall pick and getting Zion. Also, might find out Kevin Durant's going there. Then all of a sudden, you have a real discussion about which team is in the best position, given the strength of the Eastern Conference, given Kevin Durant's age, given how those two 7-foot super freaks would match up playing alongside each other. All that changes the math, but as presently constituted, it's the Lakers, and it's not, to me, even close.
Well, you talked about Durant being one of the options as far as being here in New York. And for people who, because that's been out there. Yeah. He's got business partners associated there with the Knicks. This is a market potentially he would want to visit with free agency. What if they don't get Kevin Durant? What are other options might the Knicks have to be able to pair with AD?
So the problem for me is if they don't, let's assume they don't get Durant, and there's an 84% chance they don't get Zion. So let's assume they don't get Zion Williamson as well, right? Because the odds are they won't if you only have a 16% chance. Then what type of trade can the Knicks make that is attractive to the Pelicans that doesn't leave the Knicks as the Pelicans in New York City? Meaning a team with Anthony Davis and nothing. Like, because the Knicks could include Kristaps, okay, but then what do they have left? If they don't have Kevin Durant, they get the 2nd or 3rd pick of the draft. Like, why would Anthony Davis want to go from New Orleans to New York to once again be in a rebuild? Now, could the Knicks...
He could be there with Kyrie.
If they add another free agent. See, so there's the other interesting piece. Is Anthony Davis making this request because he wants to go to the Lakers, or is he making this request because he wants to go to the Lakers or anywhere they can have another star with him? Because he listened to what Kevin Garnett told him, which is, hey, man, the whole thing changed when I went to Boston and won that ring. That it's about the way you're going to be looked at is what you were able to do in big moments. Because Kevin Garnett was in a very similar situation, a generational talent, toiling in obscurity. They would get to the playoffs, they'd get knocked out. They could never build a team around him except for that one year when they made it to the Western Conference Finals in Minnesota. Here's a trade that would work, just so people know. Kevin Knox, Frankie Ntilikina, Tim Hardaway Jr., and your lottery pick for Anthony Davis. That trade works. And you keep Kristaps. Is the lottery pick
Zion?
Well, I don't think that, so that's the thing is, would the Knicks even offer up Zion Williamson? I wouldn't. I wouldn't offer up Zion, just for the record. Zion's I love Anthony Davis. I would, if I'm the Knicks and I have the option to get him in this city, but if I get the 2nd pick and it's RJ Barrett, the 3rd pick and it's our kid Ja Morant, like, I would offer up those guys. If they win the lottery, I don't know that any team's going to offer up that pick.
I would offer it up. If I'm Scott Perry, I know Scott Perry well. I do believe that Scott Perry does have significant relationships in basketball that are going to attract someone to the Knicks. The Knicks haven't been that attractive for a long, long time. He does have intel. He does have a relationship with Kevin Durant. He was part of the management team in Seattle when Kevin Durant got drafted. So those first couple years, Scott Perry was one of the people who had a relationship with Kevin Durant there and helped do things for him. So I think Kevin Durant feels very, very comfortable. If you have Kristaps still available on the franchise. You also have Kyrie behind the scenes. He is a Jersey kid. He would like to play in New York City in the Garden. So I just believe with the new hierarchy that they have for the Knicks, they have a couple things in place that make the Knicks far more attractive than they have been.
How is it not, explain this to me, how is it not a conflict of interest to have, you know, obviously LeBron James would love the Brow to come to LA. How is it not a conflict of interest to have Clutch representing both of them and him saying, you know what, I think I'm going to go to the Knicks instead?
Really glad, all right, so I'm really glad you asked that, because this is going to become, as we find different angles to talk about the Anthony Davis story, a discussion point, which is the influence of Rich Paul in Clutch Sports.
Yeah.
I want people to understand this. This is how business has been done in the NBA forever. David Falk helped run the NBA when he was repping Michael Jordan, had that much influence. Dan Fagan, once upon a time, Dan Fagan was repping Dwight Howard and Chandler Parsons. The Rockets wanted Dwight Howard. Dan Fagan said, I will steer him to you or away from you based on, will you let Chandler Parsons out of his contract next year?
Major League Baseball.
That's terrible.
Scott Burrows.
It's just how it's done.
It's normal business.
It's normal. And by the way, the Rockets and Chandler and Dwight will all deny that happened. It definitely happened. So here's the reason I bring it up. It wasn't no issue for anybody till all of a sudden it's Rich Paul and LeBron. Like, we've always had agents as puppet masters in the league, and people just accepted it. Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, they became an agency in a little bit of a different way. They're run a little bit of a different way, and people don't like the influence that group, that age, that demographic, how they came up is encroaching on what had been other people's turf. But this is how business is done in the NBA and has been for as long as I've been alive.
All right, coming up, Deshaun Watson joins the show. That's next on First Things First.
Deshaun Watson got no conflict of interest. Just wants to get back to the playoffs. Decided to talk to him.